Welcome back to Odds with Ends. Another great week. As always, we have the legendary David Tyree and our rising star, Sean Little out of Chicago. Unfortunately, we lost one. There's no Double G, so we're going to have to carry the show ourselves, fellas. We're ready for it, though, right? We're ready for it. Let's go. Let's jump right into it. So, starting off this week, a lot has been mentioned, a lot has been said about our Giants, and what has been happening, what transpired against Tampa Bay, how bad of a loss it was, and then the exodus of Jason Garrett, getting fired almost immediately after they touched down. A lot of changes, a lot of things going on within that locker room, a lot of things going on within that building, some necessary changes that, in my opinion, needed to be made. A lot of talk is made about why do they do it now as opposed to doing it at a different point in the season. My take on it is that if you know that a decision has to be made and you've already made that decision, just go for it. There's not going to be a good time. There's not going to be a perfect time to get everybody ready for the switch. That being said, I was there, but I played under a couple different coordinators, so I saw some transitions, but I never saw anything as dramatic as this. You were there in the front office. What is your perspective? Like, what do you think is going on? What needs to change? Give me something to look forward to, man.
Yeah. I'm hoping to bring a little hope, but let's just be honest, right? This has gone about as bad as it could go with great expectations for Joe Judge in year two. You saw those glimmers of hope, and I think what the Giants are saying is, and what Joe Judge had to do was make a decision, right? It was it was an unspirited offensive effort with that Tampa Bay game, and it really just left that man feeling sour. So I think what Joe Judge wants to stay on top of is being active. Now we're looking up top just as well. So we're hearing reports, Ian Rappaport with David Gettleman also on the hot seat, and let's be honest, deservingly so. So, you have all this talent, right? Saquon Barkley, Kenny Galladay, making bank. And we haven't figured out how to get these weapons on the field. So it's either we're not picking as great, and we're also not optimizing the talent within this, within the team. So, decisions had to be made, and obviously Jason Garrett, to some extent, rightfully so, fell on that sword. And the Giants still have a lot of uphill work to do, in my personal opinion, because, the offensive line has not been addressed in a decade, right? So it's all those factors that continue to make this team a little stagnant. So it's work to do.
That was a big thing for me coming in, was that if you don't address the offensive line, if you don't have a running attack, if you don't have offensive linemen who can protect him for more than a second or two, and then we saw yes, it's Tom Brady, but we saw everybody on the telecast pointed it out. I mean, anybody can stand there for 10 seconds and find somebody that's open. Eventually enough is enough. You can't put it all on the DBs to cover. You got to get a pass rush. You got to get that push up the middle to move them off the launch point. A whole lot goes into it.
They spent $70+ million, like you were saying, in the offseason. So they went and got some skill guys that they thought were going to make plays. Since Jason Garrett was added in 2020, they have the least amount of touchdowns in the NFL. And there's some bad offenses, because I'm a Bears fan. I've seen a bad offense. So when I actually read that stat, I was like, are you sure about that? But that's the stat. So when you spend that much money and you have the least amount of production that they've had, it's really, really tough. And then now you bump into an Eagles team that's been rolling.
But let's think about this as well. I think the bigger issue is, the Giants have made decisions where they never get the definitive pick, right? Saquon Barkley, you're in position to get a franchise quarterback. We get the running back. Amazing talent. But now we're dealing with the injury bug. We're dealing with what is his first 4 years looking like? Not much so far, right? And, defensive line. These are all the things that the Giants were so great at historically, is being stout, having layers of talent on the defensive line and those offensive lines. They're not making definitive decisions, even in regard to their personnel, where they're saying, we're going to fix our offensive line with 2 first-round draft picks, in 2 years. And it's just things that other teams are doing and they're not executing on, and that's why everybody's under the.
This is a big game for the Giants. We have our boy Michael Strahan finally getting his jersey retired against the Philadelphia Eagles. This is an NFC East matchup. There's a lot at stake outside of the rest of the season. Like, this is a big game. Like, in New York, this is a big game. This is a big game for a lot of reasons. Bragging rights and all that. Forget about what's going on. I would like to see this Giants team come out fired up, ready to go, we're going to see if that was the problem.
Yeah.
Was that the issue, or was it really that we got 3 receivers, who don't know where they're supposed to be, all lined up between the numbers like Dan Orlovsky and everybody else pointed out?